I'm joined now here on the OHIO podcast by Jason, one of our Patreon members and supporters here at the OHIO podcast. Jason, welcome, my friend. Good to have you on. Good to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. I'm glad to be on.
All
Uh,
right, so Jason, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you do, what you did, and maybe a little bit about your how you became a Buckeye fan.
well, I've been in Marysville for about 50 years, so that's about how old I am. So I've been here in Ohio for all my life. And my dad is a big Buckeye fan, so I grew up in big Buckeye family. They used to have Buckeye parties every weekend at the house, so that's how I become a Buckeye fan. And then 2002 is really when I really started getting into it because that was the very first spring game that I went to. And then, of course, we won the championship that year. So that kind of made me, you know, really love going. And ever since then, I've just been like massively into it. I've got rings. I buy rings. I got all the championship rings from this year. So yeah, it's. I'm pretty into it. I'm pretty
I would
into it.
I would say so. You're buying the jewelry with them. I mean,
Yeah,
I got you, man.
right,
Uh, so 2002, you went to the spring game, and
right. Very
of
first
course,
one. Yeah,
yeah, and that was the national championship year under Jim Tressel.
yeah.
Give me your thoughts on Tress.
Oh, I love Tress. Was the man. I mean, he's the one that got us out of that hump. And I wish he wouldn't have got fired. To be honest with you, or quit or whatever you want to say it was. I wish he would have never have left. I did like him, but then we get Urban, and then now we got Ryan Day, and I love Ryan Day to death. I mean, there's a different Ryan Day this year after that championship season. I think he seems more confident and is like more focused. It just seems like because when he talks, he's more serious. He's just like he knows what he's wanting and he knows what he's focused on right now. And it's just I just see a complete difference. I see a real big difference in him. And he doesn't seem very nervous. He's going out there and getting what he wants.
Yeah, he definitely is a different cat ever since that no late November loss and through the
Mm-hmm.
college football playoff run and into this season, where Ohio State now has a 9-game winning streak going on here since that all took place.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so 2002, 2014, and then 2024. Which
Right.
championship, in your opinion, was most impressive and why?
The 2002 because it was our first one,
In
and
our lifetime, yeah.
in our lifetime anyway. Yes, and the way that we got it, C. Grant at the end, you couldn't have asked for a better storyline. I mean, C. Grant going after that quarterback was phenomenal. That was an amazing game,
Yeah.
and
No one
everybody
gave
thought nobody
Yeah,
gave us a chance.
no one.
No one.
No one. Which, hindsight's 2020. Looking back, there was a lot of NFL talent on that roster. And,
Mhm.
it was interesting. I was listening to one of the interviews that Sean and TG had with some of the guys who played for Cooper and John Cooper. And the comment was made that Tressel's 2002 championship, he should thank John Cooper for that because he did it with most of his guys. Now, that's not entirely true. Maurice
Right,
Claret was
right,
a true freshman, obviously, but
right.
a lot of those guys in 2002 were recruited and some were even developed by Cooper. What's
Mhm.
your opinion of John Cooper?
I mean, John Cooper has some good teams. I mean, he really has some good teams, but it just seemed like just like with Ryan Day, he can't get over that Michigan hump, you know, for some reason. And I just hope this year he's got past that mental block that he's got.
What do you think that mental block is?
I, it just like, seems like he's like scared or something. I mean, he just needs to go out there and play Buckeye ball. You're playing down to them, and that's why you lose. We I don't see that we threw that much in the last game. We didn't throw hardly any balls downfield,
Hmm.
and I don't understand why. I mean, the receivers that we had then, we had Omeka, we had Smith, we had Ennis. I don't understand why he was so scared to throw the ball downfield when we knew we could have beat him every time. They couldn't keep up with our receivers. I know we couldn't. I know they couldn't
Yeah, I think the playoffs kind of proved that,
have.
the run
Right,
in the
right,
playoffs, and it was like, well,
right.
and I remember saying at the end of that Tennessee game on this very podcast,
Hmm.
during the live watch, I remember saying, where was this a month ago? Like, where was this against the team up north? Why did
Right.
we wait till now to unleash this? And maybe it took that loss in the shoe to
Hmm.
kind of open up that Pandora's box, if you will, for this offense to finally flourish. But
Well,
I think,
that's where I think Ryan Day needs to start listening to the players a little more because he gets to where he thinks his coaching overrides what the players are telling him sometimes. And the players are out there playing the ball game. So I think those guys, why they had that upset meeting that they had, them players meeting that they had, because I think they were telling him, why didn't you listen to us? Why didn't you let us do what we wanted to do? And I think that's what happened. I think this year you see that differently to where he's starting to listen to more of the players instead of what the coaches think or what's going on. Because he said it about uh, saying, he said it about him. He says, well, he knew what about this read. He says, and I thought it was this read, but he was right. So
yeah,
I think he needs to start listening to the players more because they're the ones out there.
gotta be careful though. You don't want to completely put everything in the players' hands. I mean,
Right,
you listen to some of those wide receivers, you'll be throwing the football every single
right,
time, or some of
right,
those
right,
running backs, you'll be running the football on 3rd and 20. It's like, give me the
right,
ball. But
right.
I think
Just like Omeka did in the what was it, the championship game against Notre Dame about the go ball.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
maybe in certain circumstances, but just like that Michigan game now, I think he should have at least listened to him some way or another. But I think he was so tight because it was Michigan. We're going to do what I think we're going to do. And plus, it didn't help that we missed 2 field goals, which they should have been chip shots.
yeah. So, what are your thoughts on that team up north, man? I always like to kind of get people's opinion when they're Ohio State fans. It runs from respect to absolute hatred to, there's a lot of different opinions on them. So,
Well,
give me your thoughts.
I have a kind of a dilemma with it because my son is a Michigan fan.
Oh, how'd that happen,
Uh,
Jason?
because he was with his stepdad more than he was with me.
Oh,
So he turned into a Michigan fan. I mean, and he's a diehard Michigan fan. Just like we don't say the name, and just like we don't ever put blue on, he's the opposite of he don't ever put red on. So it's kind of the dilemma. Just like last year, though, I kind of got I wish I think. I mean, I know that Buckeye fans won't like this, but it was my birthday. It was my 50th birthday that they wanted the championship on. It was on January 20th is actually my birthday. I kind of got the best of both worlds. I got my son to be happy and I got to win the championship. You know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying?
sure,
So
sure.
it was like, but this year is a completely different story. This year, I want them. I want them this year.
So I was in a similar situation to you, Jason.
Hmm.
My first marriage fell apart, and my ex-wife, remarried and moved to Iowa. A lot of
Mm.
people don't know. That's why I absolutely have a disdain for Iowa. It was it's personal with me. It's like, why do you hate Iowa so much, Boggs? Like, I'm like, oh, because my kids lived there for while growing up, and my son was in elementary school. My daughter was only in kindergarten when they moved out to Iowa, And but thankfully, my son held on to his Ohio State fandom,
Mm,
even though he was little, and he's never let go of that. And so, thankfully, he didn't turn into a Hawkeyes fan. But I remember him saying, he said, "Dad, they all hate me out here because I wear my Ohio State stuff to school, and they're all wearing their Iowa stuff, and they hate me because we're
mhm.
just so good."
Right, right,
And so
right, right.
now
Well,
my
see, me,
daughter, she could care less. She doesn't
right,
really look at, she could care
right.
less, but
Yeah, see, me and my son, we won't talk about football together. We just won't do it because we just have a complete different opinions on things. Because if we start to talk about football, then we're getting upset with each other. So we're just like, let's just take that right out of the equation and just don't even talk about football when we're around each other. Which it sucks, but that's just what we have to do. So,
yeah.
but yeah, it's pretty bad though. But he did call me though when we won the championship. Though he did, I'd have to say that he said that one was for you, Dad, because it was your birthday. So,
Oh,
so I
well,
mean,
at least he's got a good heart.
right, right, yeah, yeah.
That's good. That's good, man.
So
So,
that's where my dilemma was with the Michigan thing. To where, don't get me wrong, I can't stand them. I can't. I really can't. I can't stand their fans. I can't stand none of them because my son acts like them. And you got to think, I got to always put that aside and saying, okay, I always got to put aside and not listen to what he's saying. He's my son, but just let it go in one and out the other because you're talking and acting just like them. But
a little arrogant,
yes,
huh?
yes, just a little
Oh,
bit, just a little bit. But yeah, but I want their number this year. I think we can do it. To be honest with you, and I think Ryan Day, he's just different. He's just different this year. He just seems so different when he talks. He don't smile much at all.
mm-mm. Not
He
not
is
during the games. He doesn't.
no, no, and it doesn't seem like he smiles that much, even when he's in the press conferences or
Well,
he
I think
just
it's hard to smile in a press conference,
right,
especially on Tuesday. His Tuesday press conferences because he kind of looks as like you are stealing 30 minutes of game prep away from me.
right, right,
In order to do this. I think the press conferences after a win, he smiles more. Obviously, there's the
mhm,
relief of game over, mission accomplished. I can laugh now and smile a little bit.
right,
Um, but the way he is, the way he's wired, and all the good ones are wired this way when it comes to the
right,
college football coaches. They're
mhm,
already on to the next game. They've
right.
already switched it to
They're
the
already
next
thinking
game.
about the things you already screwed up on during the game. So he's like,
Yeah, yeah.
so yeah,
And
so
I hope for him, for his sake, he can learn to have a healthy balance in his life to where it doesn't affect him as a father and as a husband. And I don't think it does. I think he's
right,
able to kind of separate those things in his head and in his mind. We've had on RJ Day, his son, and
right,
he thinks very highly of his dad. And if Ryan wasn't a good father, that your son's not going to say that about your dad.
right, right.
So um, obviously his wife is fiercely loyal and
Mhm,
supportive of him. So I think Ryan's a good husband and a good father. So he's able to kind of balance that nicely. Um,
mhm.
so let's talk a little bit about this season, man. What were your expectations going into the season for this team, and what do you think about this team? Have they met those? Have they exceeded those? And what's your thoughts on this year's team so far?
I was going into the season hoping that we'd at least beat Michigan and at least win one playoff game. Since we won the championship last year, I was going at, but the way that I'm seeing it and the way that vibe that I feel right now, I can feel us getting another one. I just feel it right now. I just feel it with this team, and I think they feel it. I can see how they were walking into that Washington Stadium. I wouldn't want to be in their way. I'll tell you that right now. I would not want to be in their way on how serious they looked. And I just think the focus that they have right now, I feel like we could do it again. And I don't think there's a team out there that is is capable of doing it, in my opinion. Our defense right now is I haven't seen anything like it. And they're not even rushing. They're not even any rush packages yet. I can just imagine when they put those in of what it's going to be.
Yeah, so I think, well, let me ask you this.
Mhm.
If you had to pick a team that you think will challenge the Buckeyes for a national championship, who would it be?
Well, right now it probably. I mean, Miami, but Ole Miss is coming along too.
Oh, okay.
Ole Miss is coming along too, and I think they could win the SEC this year.
So interesting you said Ole Miss.
Mhm.
Over on the College Huddle, the other channel I run, we
Mhm.
did a SEC simulation for the season with a tournament with two other hosts and myself. And interestingly enough, the two teams that actually ended up being in the final for the SEC was Alabama and Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And so far this season, I would say those two teams out of the SEC might be the cream of the crop there.
Right.
So interesting on that. Um, how about Julian Sane? I mean, what do you think of the young quarterback?
I Before he leaves Ohio State, he's going to win a Heisman. I just feel it. If he's giving you this production right now, you give him 1 year of season. I think next year he could be a Heisman candidate and probably win it.
He might be a Heisman candidate right now.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, a lot of the people that they're talking about haven't had their big games yet. The quarterback from Missouri, I think Dante Moore over in Oregon is
Hmm.
obviously being mentioned a lot, and I think this weekend will have a big impact on whether he truly is a Heisman candidate or not, because I think this might be the biggest challenge left on Oregon's schedule, to be completely honest with you.
Hmm.
Um, the quarterback for Indiana, another one, Menendez, I think, or
Hmm.
whatever,
Right. Yeah.
Fernando. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
another one
Once
that's
that
kind of
guy
mentioned.
from Oklahoma went down, was it Oklahoma? Yeah, the guy from the quarterback from Oklahoma. What was his name? The T.
Meeks or
Yeah, something like that. Didn't he get hurt?
I don't. If he did, I missed that. Let me look it up this
I know
quick.
he tore up Michigan. I know that.
John
Yeah,
Mateer.
yeah.
Let's see if he's injured. Yeah, let's look it up.
I thought he was injured.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, he was injured, but however, he's as of a day ago, Mateer is pushing to possibly play against Texas in the Red River rivalry. So he
Mm,
did get hurt. You're right.
right, right. So that brought his Heisman down, but that doesn't mean he can't pick right back up again. I just know that he got hurt, and they took them off the list. I per se, or took him down the list per se.
Yeah, the Heisman odds is a funny thing because I don't know how much those odds are uh, weighed on by the voters, which are all media members. But right now, the top four names, I'll use four. Um, for the Heisman are Carson Beck, quarterback at Miami, Dante Moore, quarterback at Oregon, Ty Simpson, quarterback at Alabama, and Jeremiah Smith, wide receiver at Ohio State. So,
Has there ever been a receiver win one?
yeah, yeah, a couple years ago, the
Uh,
one from
Was it?
Alabama. Yeah,
Was it?
there's been a couple wide receivers, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's to me the Heisman Trophy is the most overrated award you can possibly.
I
I mean,
always thought it was a curse. That's what I always did. I always said whoever won the Heisman didn't win the championship. It always seemed like it happened that way.
yeah,
Because look how
yeah,
Troy Smith won, and we didn't win
right.
the title.
Well, that's the last Buckeye to win a Heisman Trophy was Troy
Right,
Smith, which, you know, Eddie winning won it before that, and obviously you've got um Archie Griffin, the only two-time Heisman Trophy winner, most famous Heisman Trophy winner of all time. The only player that has a statue outside of Ohio Stadium, which is
right.
pretty incredible. But all
I
all
think Claret would have won one if he would have stuck with it and didn't,
right,
you know.
yeah, and I think that could have really changed Ohio State's fortune the next couple years
Yeah.
too, having him available and
But him
only
being
getting
on this
better.
team right now is why I think this Buckeye team's got an attitude. He is bringing that bad attitude to them because Maurice Clark, he's had that bad attitude to where you had that violent attitude out of it. And I think he is bringing that part out of his team because he is a part of this team a lot.
Yeah, he's there,
Mm-hmm.
interacting and things. And Ryan Day brought him back, put him with the program. I think his greatest asset, if you ask me my opinion, would be working with the young freshmen and underclassmen when they have success, to
Mm-hmm.
keep them grounded, to say,
Right.
don't make the same mistakes I made and think you're bigger than the team, and to think, you've made it and you don't have to worry about anything else. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
I think his experience, life experience, offers so much value to the underclassmen on the roster, and I think that that's one of the main reasons why he's there. Um, the attitude itself comes from the players. I think
Right.
you had um, when you had Caleb Downs, I forget which other defensive player, might have been Iggy, walk
Mm-hmm.
into Ryan Day's office and say, "Take down all the national championship stuff. This team hasn't won anything."
Right.
That set the entire precedent for the offseason,
Right.
and it has just that momentum has just carried over into the season, and that defense that you brought up earlier, the
Mm-hmm.
attitude in which they play with,
Yeah.
it's contagious. It is
Yeah.
absolutely contagious. As fans, we can feel it. You can feel it
Mm-hmm.
in the stadium. You can see it come across the television screen. This, we don't give a darn about anybody. We don't care that we're ranked number one. We don't care that we won a national championship last year. Like, we don't care about anybody's feelings. This is about destroying the opponent across
Right.
from us.
I mean,
And
Curry said it. He says these are no names out
yeah,
here.
the no-name
And,
defensive line. Yeah,
right. Right.
yeah.
So, but I think it also too. I wrote this on the Patreon message board that I think having to have that focus for that first game means a lot more than what people think. I think it got us ahead of the game a little bit better than if we would have had a cupcake at the beginning of the season.
Oh yeah. It
You know,
forced you to focus.
right? And that's
Hindsight
what
2020.
a lot of people is saying it. They're saying they're so much further along that there's the teams are like two steps behind us.
Hmm. And you go back to that first week and you look at the two paths that those two teams have gone down now. Ohio State this way,
Yeah,
Texas this way.
right.
And you think, what if the roles would have been reversed? Where would we be right now? Um, and it's hard for me to imagine Ohio State at going into this game thinking they would possibly lose to Illinois and be 4-2. But that's where, in my mind, I thought this team would be. I did not anticipate them being
Hmm.
this good. I was
Right.
always at the beginning of the season, I was under the impression, look, you got a brand new starting quarterback, has had very no starts under his belt, very little experience. Um, you're replacing eight starters on the on the defense. Eight NFL starters on the defense. There's no way this team is a 12-0 team. They're probably 10-2, which to me was pretty
Hmm.
good. I'll take 10-2 and a berth to get back in the college football playoff on a
Right.
rebuild year.
Right.
But no, that was not what this team was gonna do. Shame on me for not having more faith, I guess, in these players. But
Well, I mean,
um,
everybody. I think everybody had those thoughts. I think everybody thought that this was going to be that year to where we weren't supposed to be this good.
right.
And I mean, and we looked like a pro team out there. Even saying out there throwing them balls that he throws, wow. That's all I can say is wow. And he's on them. I mean, spit on them. You don't ever see hardly ever him miss a ball. And when he places them balls, it's right there. Even over the shoulder, it's right there.
Yeah. It is, and it's a thing of beauty to watch.
Yeah.
He is deadly accurate, which is cool. I mean, it's so neat
Hmm.
to watch him work. He's a lot further along than I thought he would be. Um,
Right.
I go back to August when Chris and I got to watch him in person, and again, looking back now, I think the defense was just so much further ahead.
Yeah.
But he didn't look great.
Right.
He didn't look then like he looks now.
Right.
Which I think goes back to Ryan Day and his
Hmm.
ability to develop a team, develop a quarterback specifically.
And I
Uh,
think telling Julian he was the starter kind of took a click at him too. I think him going through that competition was on. I think he was only showing certain parts of him. Knowing that he was the starter, I think it kind of pushed him to be to more focused on what he was going to do. You know what I mean?
hmm
That's what I feel. That as soon as Ryan Day said he was the starter, I think he just put it on in his mind, like I'm about to put a show on.
It doesn't hurt your confidence, that's for sure.
Right, right,
You
right.
know, but he's been great. Um, he's his release is so quick. He's
Yeah,
so accurate. Um, he's been quickly becoming an assassin right before our eyes.
yeah. That's what I
And
think about it. Is like he sits there and just dissects the defense. Like,
yeah, he's a surgeon.
yeah,
The offensive line has a lot to do with that too.
yes. All the new coaches, I feel, has done a big difference. I
Yeah,
mean,
that offensive line is really good pass blocking,
yeah,
really good.
yeah.
They're getting better run blocking. The left side of the line is pretty good at getting a good push, especially
Hmm.
on the goal line. If you've noticed, we run behind the left side of the line almost at least 80% of the
Yeah.
time on short yardage.
Who's the guard on that side?
That would be Luke, right?
Montgomery.
Yeah, not Luke
Yeah.
Montgomery on the left. Yes. Um, I had to go through the line in my mind
Hmm.
to yeah. Luke Montgomery's
Now who's on the other side?
the right guard is
Yeah.
it's been Tegra Shabola, but he's been
Yeah.
replaced a couple times by Ethan O, as I like to call him, Big
Mhm.
O,
But
the
didn't they
transfer
say
from
too
Rice.
that he even went down the depth chart too? The reason isn't there another one?
Well, what they've been doing, I think, is they've been kind of putting those two together. But
Hmm.
Van Sickle was the one on the second string that was I was pretty impressed with the guard.
Hmm.
Was Van Sickle. I think he's a redshirt freshman, maybe, or redshirt sophomore.
Hmm.
Might be his third year on the team, but um, no, I think this offensive line and the depth on the offensive line is really good.
Right.
I think the two deep even looks really good, which is great for the future because we are going to lose some of these linemen to the NFL this year, at least a couple of them.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I've been really highly impressed, and of course, how do you not fall in love with Austin Severveld and what he's been able to do at left tackle, going from
Right.
backup right guard to being forced in during the playoff run to now winning the left tackle
Yeah.
in the preseason and now becoming one of the highest graded tackles by PFF so far this season. He's quickly made himself quite a bit of money in the NFL draft coming
Yeah.
up if he just stays healthy. So
Hmm.
and he's been fantastic. Who's your favorite player on this team?
On this team, I would probably say, I mean, there's a few of them, I guess. There's a few on defense. Few. I mean, Caleb Downs, of course, he's the mastermind of the defense. But I have been mostly impressed with Iggy this year. Just being handsy like he was last year. And I'm sorry, but he is glue when it comes to defending a receiver. I mean, glue now. He used to get a little bit of separation with him, but I don't see a step that a receiver's got on him now. And I think it's him. in a way because he's got that attitude, and I think you see a lot of that attitude out there on the field with him. And I think it sparks the defense even more. I know the defense really doesn't need to be sparked anymore, but I think he does when he's on the field. And then offense, I would have to say I'm really impressed with Bo Jackson.
Mm.
I'm really impressed on how he's coming along, and it's a surprise because nobody knew that this was going to be him coming off the being a what freshman. So I think Bo Jackson is more of a like I see him. I could also see him win the Heisman. Maybe not this year, but maybe next year.
The problem with having so many Heisman guys on one team is they end
Hmm.
up stealing votes from each other in a lot of ways.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, you kind of have to be cognizant of that, which is why I've always wanted Ohio State to just kind of pick one and promote the heck out of that particular person. But
I think we should do that with Jeremiah Smith because he's just an alien anyway. So,
yeah, he's got the best chance I think out of this roster to do it,
hmm,
in my opinion. But what do I know? um,
right. Right.
who's your all-time favorite Buckeye?
Mike Doss.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why's that?
I love the way he hit people. I mean, when he hit you, you knew it.
Stay down.
Yes. And it was just, I mean, and half the time it just seemed like as hard as he hit him, it knocked him out. That's how hard it seemed like to me on TV.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a good one. That's an interesting one.
Hmm.
I think Caleb Downs is the closest thing we've seen
Right.
to Mike Doss. I like to ask that question to former players when they're being interviewed here on the OHIO podcast. Is Mike Doss or Caleb Downs, who you picking and why? And
Hmm.
most of them, I think, who played in and around the Doss era will choose him. Most of the newer
Hmm.
guys are probably going to go with Caleb Downs. It's just a generational thing, but that's
Hmm.
an interesting pick. Yeah,
They
it's
both
a good
were
one.
too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I think Caleb Downs is the closest thing we've seen to Mike
Yeah.
Doss. Um,
I don't know if Mike Doss was much of like a coach as Caleb Down is, because I see that Caleb Down is like a coach out there. I don't know if Mike Doss was that much of that. So I think I put a little bit more on the Caleb Downs to where he's more of a complete player.
well, he's a coach's son.
Yeah.
Caleb Downs is. I mean, his daddy was a football coach. I
Hmm.
know that he's a film junkie. I think I think those two things together kind of give you that
And
that
plus,
coach
it helps
feel.
that his brother is a football player too. So,
But I think Mike Doss for his era and during that time would probably be considered very similar.
hmm,
Of almost like an extension of your coaching staff onto the field a little bit.
right.
A lot of people forget, but Mike Doss, that was his senior year. He could have went pro after
Yeah.
that junior year in 2001.
Hmm.
And he decided to come back and lead that 2002 national championship team. And that decision to come back kind of spurred it on that season on a little bit. So I think there's some leadership there that might get ignored a little bit from Mike Doss, but that's a good one. What's your all-time favorite game as a Buckeye fan? Is it
Probably
Miami?
no, actually, it was the Purdue game.
Ah, that's mine too. Holy
Yeah.
Buckeye. Yeah.
Yes.
Which
Yes.
it's funny because it's an incredibly boring football game up until that point. Like it's boring and just sad and kind of
Yeah.
depressing, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden a complete jubilation. But
Right.
that's my all-time favorite play as a Buckeye too, is the
Yeah.
Holy Buckeye.
Yeah. It was amazing. I had goosebumps when he did it. I had
Yeah.
goosebumps, tears, everything. I was like, wow. But you got to give it to Craig Krenzel. He might not have been the savviest quarterback out there, but by golly, he got it done.
Yeah, you don't want to tell Corey that. Corey's not a
Right.
big Krenzel guy, but no, I've always had a I guess you could say a healthy respect for Craig Krenzel. He was gritty.
Yeah.
He was a gritty quarterback. He would tuck it and run. He was kind of like he had a little bit of JT in him, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Now I'm not a huge JT fan. A lot of people
Mhm.
love JT Barrett, and I was not a big JT fan.
He kind of
Um,
reminded me of Will Howard a little bit too.
Who's
Just
that?
the way that,
Krenzel?
yeah, kind of just the way that he was built.
Leadership. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Will Howard would tuck it and run if he had to. Yeah. No doubt
yeah.
about it. He did a lot more of that at Kansas State than he did at Ohio State, but I
Turf
think that
monster would
was
get him.
I think that was out of necessity over there in Manhattan, Kansas.
Mhm.
Unfortunately for him at that time, of course, they were all them Kansas State fans were so excited to almost get rid of him because they were ready for the Avery Johnson era to get started, and now 2 years into the Avery Johnson era, they would love to have Will Howard back. At
Oh
that
yeah,
point, man, that guy has just become a complete disappointment for the Wildcats. But
yeah.
yeah,
If I could see Will Howard could have won the Heisman too if he would have been a Buckeye longer.
you think?
I think so. I think if
I
Ryan
don't think he would
Day,
have had the stats for it.
you don't think Ryan Day would have?
No, I think Will Howard's greatest asset was he was a great leader.
Yeah.
Um, there's more of that Tim Tebow leadership grit in Will Howard
Hmm.
than the big arms show. 5,000 passing yards. Stuff in the stat sheet. Will Howard didn't care about any of those things. Will
Right.
Will Howard cared about the dub, getting the
Right.
dub.
Right. Yeah.
And again, you go back and look at the three starting quarterbacks we had in our last three national championships.
Yeah.
Craig Krenzel,
Yeah.
12 gauge,
Yeah.
literally started 3 games,
Yeah.
right? 3 games, and then he started maybe 4 or 5 the next season and lost the starting position back to JT.
Right.
Of course, talking about Cardell Jones, and then Will Howard.
Hmm.
None of them you would choose over, you know, JT Barrett.
Right.
You wouldn't choose any of them over Justin Fields,
Or like a Troy Smith, you know.
Troy Smith,
You know.
like Dwayne Haskins,
Yeah.
CJ
And those
Stroud.
are the ones that got us the championship. That's so
But
crazy.
those three all have natties. None of these other guys do, which
Right.
tells you how much of a team sport football is, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I go back to, I want to say it was Justin Fields' first season. Yeah, no, yeah. 2019, 2018. So the 2018, that was the 2018 had the no, 2019 was Justin Fields' first season. Yes. That was the team that had Chase Young, that defense,
Yeah.
Jeff Okuda.
Hmm.
What a great defense. But offensively,
Was one of the Bozas still on there too?
no.
No. I didn't know.
28
Didn't Chase Young and Boza play one season together?
2018, and that was the season Nick got hurt early against TCU and
Mm-hmm.
then set out the rest of the year. And Chase was a sophomore and he was just kind of starting to get into it.
Mm-hmm.
2019 was the Chase Young full-fledged I'm a beast
Right.
season. That defense was so good, but the offense was lacking. Then the
Right.
following year in 2020, which was the COVID year,
Mm-hmm.
Justin Fields had, and that offense was awesome. They were electric. But the
Right.
defense, we lost all those good defensive players, and the defense was bad. Um,
Now, who played on the other end with Chase then?
oh man, you're asking me a question I don't remember.
No, that's why I was
20
asking. 'Cause I don't remember either.
2019's Ohio State defense. I got to look that up now.
Hmm.
2019 Ohio State football final statistics. Let's see who it is. I'm going to kick myself when
Probably as soon as you name it.
yeah, as soon as we see this, I'm going to kick myself because I'm going to be like, "Oh, you idiot." Let's see here. Chase Young. Oh, you got to be kidding me. No way. It says Zach Harrison, but I don't believe that. Zach Harrison would have only
Zach
been a
Harrison. Yeah,
he only
maybe.
no, I don't think he
You
was
don't
a
think?
starter though.
Did he come
Let's
in because of Boza though?
Javante Jean Baptiste and Zach Harrison are the next two defensive ends statistically after Chase Young. Yeah. And then at defensive tackle, you had you had Davon Hamilton, and you had Tommy Togiai, and you
Yeah,
had Robert Landers. They were more they probably those defensive tackles played a lot more. They probably were rotating those defensive ends.
yeah,
Tyreek Smith was there as well
yeah.
at defensive end. Um, but yeah, it was the Chase Bosa, or sorry, Chase Young show.
Right.
But that offense had J.K. Dobbins, Justin Fields. It had Chris Olave,
Yeah,
K.J. Hill,
yeah,
Benjamin Victor, Garrett Wilson, Austin Mack,
yeah.
Jeremy Ruckert, Luke Farrell. Jameson Williams was a freshman before he left to go to
Yeah.
Alabama. That offense was so loaded, but and they were just all young. They were so
Isn't
young.
it kind of similar of what we got now?
It's a good question because I think if you look at what we have now and you kind of compare it to what we had then, I think you can make that comparison. I think that that's fair. I think that's
Yeah,
fair to make that comparison. Um,
because you were naming some tight ends too, so I was just
yeah,
wondering.
yeah. But I think the difference is between the 2019 team, which had a really good defense just like this year, and the 20 and is that offense with Justin Fields. I think Justin was more about his legs
Hmm. So is
than
that the only running back was Dobbins? That's the one we had. Master
Master
T.
T was the
Okay.
backup
Okay.
running back.
He
And of
was
course,
he was a powerful one. He was a powerful
yeah,
runner,
he was the power back. JK
yeah,
was the you
like the
know
speedster.
yeah, he was the all the I guess you would say the full running back. He was a workhorse,
Hmm.
but on short yardage situations they did bring in Master Teague at times. But um, I think the biggest difference between that team and this team is I'm not so sure Julian Sane isn't further along than Justin Fields was,
Yeah, yeah,
especially passing the football.
yeah. I think he is. I think his long balls are right on the money.
Justin Fields that year, 2019, so he was a redshirt freshman,
Hmm.
same as Julian. He ended up throwing the football for 3,273 yards. Um, he had a completion percentage of 67.2%. He had 41 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions.
Wow.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
And of course, that was the year J.K. Dobbins went over 2,000 yards. He had
Yeah.
301 carries, 2,003 yards, and 21 touchdowns. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I look back at this now, and I'm sitting here thinking, how did we not win a national championship?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think we would have given LSU a heck of a game
Yeah. I mean,
if
there's a bunch of
refs
teams
wouldn't
that
have
we.
stole it from us against
Right.
Clemson.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe that was a national championship team.
Hmm.
Mm.
I thought one of the ones that we had Boza on there too was a championship caliber team too.
Joey,
Joey. Yeah.
well, we did well. I mean, it was 2015, yeah,
Yeah.
because they won it. They won it as a bunch of sophomores in 2014. Zeke was a sophomore. Uh, Joey was a sophomore.
Hmm.
That whole team was just that whole sophomore class was so good. And then 2015, they were number one.
Yeah.
They were the best. They were hands down the best roster. You take that 2015 team who got left out of the college football playoff because they
Yeah.
lost a stupid game at home to Michigan State. Knock on wood, 1996 all over again.
Yeah.
Um, or was that 90? I think it was 96. Yeah.
Mm.
You 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 take that team and you say, okay, 12 team playoff. Oh, they're going through the playoffs no problem.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
so good. One bad night. and some terrible play calling in the
Yep.
second half of that game led to Ohio State stubbing their toe against D'Antonio, which D'Antonio was Urban's kryptonite, man. That guy had Urban's number at times.
Yeah. Well, he was our defensive coordinator the 2002.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And is considered by many the greatest Michigan State football coach of all time. That list also includes Nick Saban, who wasn't there very long, but
mhm.
yeah, and think about that. Nick Saban
You
coached
know,
at
it's
Michigan
amazing
State
on how many coaches have went through Ohio State.
as assistants and things. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. It's a yeah. You go back and you look at Earl Bruce's coaching tree.
yeah,
Earl Bruce's coaching tree included Urban Meyer and Jim Tressel.
yeah,
Think about that. Two
yeah.
future Ohio State coaches
That won
were
championships.
that both won
Won
national championships
championships.
were
Right.
Earl Bruce's coaching tree.
I loved Earl Bruce. I loved how mad he'd get.
His to what I remember most about Earl Bruce was those he used to be on the radio. Later in life, he was on the radio until he got kind of sick and elderly, and then he couldn't do it anymore. But his passion and fire on the airwaves, man, like he was
Mhm.
still a football coach.
Yeah,
And John Cooper does it still a little bit. He
yeah.
did the same thing. He would do the coaches roundtable show there on in Columbus. I think it's Thursday nights, and he might still do it a little bit. Cooper does, but I always love the when those former coaches stick around and have a
Mhm.
hand in near. I don't think Urban ever will. I think he's a sunshine guy. He's gonna
Mhm.
stay down there. I think he's got a cushy job right now.
Yeah,
But the further away we get from Urban Meyer, like the more I realize I think he really is done coaching. Like I just don't
yeah,
think he's gonna go back and scratch that itch.
yeah, yeah. I don't think he is anymore. I mean, why would you anyway? You go out on a good note. You went out on a
Yeah.
good note.
And he's a
I mean,
legend at Ohio State. Like
yeah.
he'll always be welcomed here. He'll always be cheered. He'll be, the adulation and the appreciation from the fan base. Like Urban could come back to Columbus, Ohio, start whatever business he wanted to start,
Mhm.
whatever he wanted to do, and this fan base will support him no matter what
And
because he won a national championship here.
now you got John Cooper and Jim Tressel around this program still.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I think Ryan Day might be getting an earful from both of them too. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
I can tell you this for a fact. I know for a fact that Ryan Day's biggest, I guess you could, he wasn't a mentor at first. That was Chip Kelly. Ryan
Mhm.
Day admittedly called Chip Kelly his mentor. And then last season, when Chip Kelly came to Ohio State to be the offensive coordinator, Ryan Day realized I can't use Chip Kelly as my mentor anymore because I'm
Right.
his boss.
Right.
And so that person ended up becoming Jim Tressel. Jim Tressel became that sounding board, that man that Ryan Day could call, who
Mhm.
understood him better than anybody else because he coached here, he did it here. And
Mhm.
lo and behold, what happens? Ohio State wins a national championship.
Right.
Chalk
Right.
another one up for
Right.
sweater vest, baby.
Right. 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 I mean, he had his fingerprints all over it, and he still
Oh,
does.
he still
He still
does.
does. He
Yeah,
still does.
absolutely. I think the whole culture thing that everybody talks about with Ohio State, a lot of that comes from Jim Tressel.
Yeah. He's the
That's
one that I
his
think he's the one that started it in 2002 when they won that title. It's never left.
no,
I don't think it's ever left.
no, it hasn't.
Mm-mm. So it's been over 20 years that culture, that's how solidified that culture is and how strong that culture is. And that's why they always talk about the culture is different here. Yeah, it's different. It's because it's been here for a long time.
Yeah,
You're not going to be able to take it away. Period. You're
no.
not.
It's such a interesting, I guess you could say, I guess you could call it a study, interesting study to look at how from Woody Hayes on how Ohio State has become the most consistent winning program in college football since
Yes.
that moment on.
Well, I can't remember the last time we didn't start a season or end a season not in the top 10.
2011.
That it?
That was the last one. That
Yeah.
was the that was the year after Tress left and Luke
We
Fickle
had Fickle. Yeah.
came in and we went 6-7, 6-6 in regular season. We had four starters get, benched or whatever, weren't allowed to play, kicked off the team, however you want to look at
Mhm.
it. And Luke Fickle was
That's a lot
thrust
of
into
years.
that position.
Mhm.
Luke Fickle was thrust into that position long, before he needed to be. But he learned a lot from it, and I think he'll be back. I think he'll be
Yeah,
back
I do
sooner
too.
rather than later
I do too.
with how things are going in Madison
I
right now
mean,
for
the
him.
talk's there. That's what I keep hearing. The talk is there that they want something new. They want somebody else. And I think they keep saying that I keep hearing that they got a name already.
Well, that's
So,
interesting. I think, for those who are on Patreon, shout out to our Patreon members like
yes.
Jason. You all know that our insider reported, I think it was earlier this week. Was it this week? I think so. Reported earlier this week that he had a conversation with an individual who told him, was directly told by Luke Fickle, we're not, the university's informed us we're not going to be here much longer.
Right. Mhm.
So
Mhm.
yeah, it makes sense, Jason, that they would have someone
Yeah.
in place already. They
Yeah.
wouldn't say that to them if that's the case.
Well, you got coaches that's been fired, and
Mm-hmm.
now you got some other coaches that's looking for a job that, your season's not going the way that we want it to go. There's just every time you see a program that's fired somebody and that coach is going somewhere else, they always for some reason want to give it a try there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and I don't know, maybe there's a Wisconsin alumni coach out there that I don't know about, but I don't know.
Well, I know the fan base, a lot of the people who were fans of Wisconsin, they wanted that one coordinator who stepped in and was the interim coach for a while. I think he was the
Mhm.
defensive line coach or defensive coordinator. I forget his name, but and then they ended up going with Fick. They went with an offensive guy, even though
Right.
Fick was a defensive guy.
Mhm.
Um, and I wonder if they're not circling back around on that. But time will
There's a
tell.
lot
But
of Wisconsin hasn't been relevant since Barry, so
I wouldn't say they
Barry
weren't
Allardyce.
relevant because
Uh,
they went to quite a few Big Ten championship games because the West was so weak.
mm.
Back when they had the Big Ten split in the East and the West.
Well, I know we spanked them one year.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
we spanked them quite a few years.
that one year though, 59-0, that was crazy.
Yeah, 2014, man, yeah,
That was
that
the
was.
first that was the first full game that 12 gauge started.
Yep, you got it.
And
Absolutely.
he made him pay for it too.